Welcome to Focus on Relationships. Here we speak everything relationships. And today I wanted to speak about human robots and its relationship with your relationships. Okay, so let's break it down. I wanted to share a video with you about human robots that are becoming very much like human beings, right? Maybe we should say human beings that are now becoming a little bit more robotic. And it was a very interesting video that I came across about CES 26. And I wanted to share that with you and have a listen about just these creations that are going on out there.
I'm really digging the one-handed control. It seems way easier than the other version. So we're checking out Realbotix. We were here last year, but we understand there's some updates, and we're here to find out what they are. So I feel like you guys broke YouTube last year as probably the most prominent company to come out of CES. What's
Thank
new
you.
at Realbotix this year?
Number one, we have David over here, our new, as he's called him, our new smug robot.
He's got a little bit of an expression on his face. It's like a little bit of like superiority.
The fact that he evokes some emotion in you, I think is a good thing.
Yes. You were talking about AI vision. Could you
Yes.
tell me about how that's baked in this year?
Our robots are a little more autonomous. So the AI takes the information it sees, what it's observing, and makes decisions based on that.
So it's basically trained on a number of human behaviors to be able to sort of interpret and see.
It can recognize human emotions. I'm not sure there's any other company in the world that has tied in hardware to being able to recognize human emotions. Our robots have the motorized wheel platform, more efficiency, but number two, we're the only guys that have humanoid robots that plug into the wall. So if you are an enterprise client, you don't necessarily care about the walking. What you care about is a robot that will work for you all day, all week. You can see here.
Okay, so before I continue with the video, I wanted to also just make commentary, particularly about this fact, just because it's going to be relevant to what we're talking about. You're going to have a robot that is going to work for you all day, all night, just plug it into the wall. And for me, that's very concerning because we can already see in society what social media, what fast food, what microwave society has done to just real connection. We're not that patient with each other anymore. We're pretty impatient. But as human beings, we're messy. We have nuances, and these robots are slowly chipping that away. What's going to happen when you have to interact with real people? If you're so used to robots always satisfying your every need and at your beck and call and is perfectly customized, when you start interacting with human beings, you're going to become seriously underwhelmed. And not to mention or not to forget the fact that AI right now is wiping away a lot of the spaces that are, in my opinion, intimately human beings. And humanity, we are going to come full circle because we are biologically wired for connection. That's just something that's not going to go away. So eventually we will reach out for each other. We're already trying to fill that gap with technology, but it's still not working, right? We have AI husbands, we have AI wives. Ultimately, though, is the real need loneliness or the fact that a lot of the spaces that have created and allowed us to have healthy relationships is no longer there? I just find it quite interesting that the solution is not, oh no, let's create society, let's create environments, or let's deal with the issues that are making people feel lonely, or why don't we create more safe spaces and communities for people? No, what we're going to do, we have the solution for that. We have a robot. Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but I just find that it's pretty funny. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not anti-technology. Some of the technology, to be honest, really is pretty fascinating and quite impressive how far the human imagination and creativity can go. But I do take issue with and will definitely put a boundary when it starts to invade and simulate spaces that I think are intimately human. And so I'll just finish off this video and thank shout outs to Cyber News for this video, a fair use, but I think it's just really interesting information that we should pay attention to and consider. Have a listen.
She follows me, and you can see she's much more fluid than the one we had last year. This will be across all of our robots here next year. They'll be able to talk and recognize you. They'll be able to, read. They'll be able to see colors, and again, recognize emotion. We did this. Sometimes you go to a fashion show, they have like the craziest outfits, and it's really just to get attention. We wanted to show a little bit of creativity and something sci-fi related to demonstrate that we make robots that look like this, but we can make them look like anything.
Sure.
One of the things that makes us unique is you can customize the appearance, voice, and personality of your robot through us. Again, nobody else is doing that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I just wanted to end that video there. But here's the thing. You can customize your robots to just be your perfect, non-antagonistic, partner. But is that real life? Because eventually life has a way of making you come back to reality. And how are we going to be when we eventually have to come back to reality? So let's just have a quick rundown on how this robot or this robotic companion works, right? And this particular robot wasn't the only thing that had AI encoded in it. Now, toys, almost everything, your fridge, your kitchen, things that are so intimate about just human life all have AI in it. And while I know that we're probably in this AI dispensation and this AI bubble, I'm concerned. Why do we need AI monitoring every detail of our life? Why does it need all this information and this private data for it to eventually be so that it can replace us? What do you think? I'm perhaps maybe thinking too deeply about this. Do you think that it's just going to blow over? I don't think it's going to blow over. And to be honest, not to be an alarmist, but I just think that we better just know that this is not going away and we should prepare for it. And how can we do that? I think we can do that by reaching for each other. But before we do that, how does this technology work? Because perhaps sometimes you can't make a decision or form an opinion about something because you just don't have information. So very quickly, these human robots or these emotion reading robots that are going to be able to recognize you and speak to you next time you come around, they're trained on massive data sets on human faces, millions of labeled images and videos. And some add voice tone analysis or even skin conductance if they have sensors. Wow. Okay, that's pretty advanced. And the result? A robot that can track your mood as you talk. Now, I know that a lot of people who are in relationships right now would be like, oh, that would be so amazing, right? Because sometimes as human beings, things fly over our head. We don't pick up on those cues that you're having a bad day and that you're pretty upset or that, it's whatever it is. And so for some people, they might be like, yeah, I'd rather have a robot be able to pick up when I'm in the mood. But then again, I said it's not reality. Or is it? Is it becoming our new reality? I'm not sure what to make of all of this thing, but I digress. Let's continue. Like pausing, for example, if you seem upset or smiling when you're excited, it's impressive, but also it's watching you closely. Now, the second issue I have about this is not that you have a robot that knows you better than you know yourself. But that where's all this information going to? Who's going to own this data? Who's going to own all of this information about you? We know that we're also in the dispensation where there's been more cyber attacks than any other time. And who's going to get that information? What if an external aggressor hacks, a national system and then suddenly they have these tons and tons and tons of data on individual people in that population? Part of what made war pretty challenging was that the enemy could not always predict the other enemy's next move. There would have to be a lot of effort to get intel in where you wanted to go and attack. And now I'm just concerned that with AI and robots and the push to have more data and more digital products in our home, that we're just making ourselves easy fodder for anybody, for any bad actor. And yeah, it's concerning, right? And for example, so that was what I want to say. Where is all this data going? Who's going to own this data? Are you going to able to just request this data anytime? What are they going to do with this information? And with this information, how are they going to be able to shape society? What are the implications of this? Because if you have enough information about everybody in the community, then you can literally start directing how you want things and how you want the society to be. Even start directing love and who people fall in love with simply because you have information about them. Because these robots will know your patterns, they'll know your mood, they'll know personal things that usually used to be kept sacred in personal relationships and now is, I guess, open for the whole world to see. I mean, not talking of the fact that social media already was bad enough. I mean, good enough in some ways. I totally look here. I'm here on YouTube, okay? So it can, in my opinion, it's not all bad. But social media already has just infiltrated relationships and made it very difficult for people to have realistic expectation in relationships. Now we have AI, your perfect partner who can do no wrong. I'm concerned. I digress. But back on topic. What we'll do is we'll have AI, more AI companions. And who's going to own? I said, is advertisers, is government. And then we've already also seen AI companions leak conversations. Now imagine that with your feelings. Imagine AI leaking information about your deepest, darkest thoughts and your emotions and your feelings. There's almost no regulation around this for emotional data. How are we even going to regulate that? Unlike health, financial data that is pretty easy to regulate. How are you going to regulate emotional data? The risk is real. Constant emotional surveillance disguised as companionship. That's what this is, in my opinion. It's disguised as companionship. And so, what does this mean for human connection? Now, some may argue, on the positive side, that AI could help with loneliness, especially for elderly people, and especially for Elon Musk, who says that robots are going to take care of your parents. But I wonder, is it not just better to deal with the issues that society is facing? We're tired. We're working ourselves to the bone. People don't have enough time to spend with loved ones. And I highly doubt that if you had asked any human being, hey, would you rather have more time to yourself and more time to share with family that you like? Or do you think that we should get a robot? Most people would probably say that they would want more time. And so instead of just really addressing society and its culture of just the grind, the hustle grind, working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. Or if you, maybe you're not working 2-3 jobs, maybe you have your own company, or maybe you own multi-billion. At whatever stage, at all points, it's always just this bigger, better, more, and really no time for what's the most important thing, which is human relationships. Why don't we just deal with that culture? Why don't we just start demanding more unstructured meeting spaces that are safe for people to just come and mingle and say, hey, how's it? Have a chess game. Have normal human interactions. But no, the solution is, I know in order for you to be able to become more efficient at your work, more efficient as a worker bee, we're just going to create robots so that you can continue in the cycle of not having enough time for human connection. That's, for me, I thought was pretty bizarre. Now, I cannot fault companies for seeing a need and for wanting to meet that need. I mean, if there's a loneliness need and there's an epidemic, shout out to the person who thought of an idea of creating an app, of creating a space, or creating technology to try and meet this need. But we always see that I don't think that it is the right way to meet this need, because more and more data is showing that technology and social media is actually doing the opposite for us as human beings. I think that where technology helps with productivity, making your work have more quality. I mean, look, we've used ChatGPT. I've used ChatGPT. We have technology these days. We use cars these days. We move from A to B. Okay. Autonomous vehicles. It depends on your take. Some people might prefer autonomous vehicles, and I think that might be quite interesting. But ultimately, not when it comes to love, not when it comes to emotions, not when it comes to intimate, biologically human things. I think I draw the line. I draw the line when it gets to that. Because if we don't, what happens to real, messy, imperfect human relationships? Yeah, we might end up destroying each other because we don't know how to be. We might, and definitely, I think I've already started, lose depth when it comes from, choosing somebody who has flaws. And, we always, as human beings, have this delusion that we are perfect and that everybody else is the problem. And so, choosing somebody else without flaws and not recognizing that you yourself have flaws and need some constant reality check of, the world not revolving around you. Now, I'm not saying we should ban it. I'm just saying there should be boundaries, and we should definitely push for more aggressive regulation in terms of this data and where all of this is going to go and what it's going to be used for. My question to you is this: are you excited? Are you excited about robots? Do you think it's necessary? Does it make you feel uneasy? Does it freak you out? Does it weird you out? Are you excited? Are you somebody who actually subscribes to having robot companions because you're just sick and tired of human beings disappointing you every time? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to find out what you feel. Thank you for joining me on this live, and until next time, bye bye.